From what I'm being told right now, in the last 15 minutes, the Chiefs did not interview Tyreek Hill. Because if I don't interview you, you can't lie to me. Statement issued by Hill on Thursday includes an explanation from his lawyers, that he met with law enforcement officials. He did not invoke his Fifth Amendment rights, answered all the questions, and that apparently was good enough for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the tape comes out. Yeah, Paulie.
If it comes out that the Chiefs never sat down with him to ask him what happened, they're going to catch a lot of heat. But I'm wondering if the players' union would allow a player to speak to management of a team about a crime. Like, is there anything where the players' union says he doesn't have to talk to the team management about any accusations off the field?
But if they said that there are no charges being filed, although they said they think that there was a crime committed, I don't know legality-wise or from the league's perspective if the Chiefs can sit down Tyreek Hill and ask him these questions. Because if they did that with Kareem Hunt and then the video came out. But you had the DA that they were investigating this. Far from over, and I wondered if it was going to change the Kansas City Chiefs draft strategy because they traded out of the first round. Let me bring in Todd McShay, ESPN NFL draft analyst. Did this or will it change the Kansas City Chiefs draft strategy going into rounds 2 and 3?
Brutal transition. I guess it has to. You have to plan. You have to kind of separate the two, obviously. The humanity of all of it, and then the business part of it. And the business part of it is there's a chance you might be without one of your best playmakers, and if that's the case, then we need to address it. So I'm guessing that they will try to bring in another playmaker just in case, a wide receiver, someone who can try to fill that void or at least play that position. But A, good luck doing that, and then B, good. This is it's just a horrible situation.
Yeah, it is. And look, I'm sorry I dropped that on you. No,
it's all right. It's all right. And I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think it's getting enough attention.
Well, because of the draft, and I talked to somebody last night with the Players Association. They said, you know what, if the draft didn't happen last night, this story would be even bigger. And now you have audio and the fact that maybe Tyreek Hill, that it somehow got watered down a little bit because of the draft last night.
Yeah, and I don't, none of us know all the details, so it's tough to say. It's just hard to hear some of these things for anyone, but especially I've got 2 young kids, a 4.5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I can't even imagine being anywhere near anything like this.
A formal introduction, Todd McShay, ESPN NFL draft analyst there. It's like you joined the program already in progress here, Todd.
Okay, here we go.
Give me the draft strategy you loved last night.
First of all, I loved teams like Jacksonville, Detroit, and Buffalo just kind of sitting tight and waiting. Sometimes you got to wait for others to make mistakes. And I think 2 mistakes were made in the first 6 picks. And Cleveland Ferrell was one of them, and he's a good player, but he's not the 4th overall player in this draft. Josh Allen from Kentucky's a better pass rusher, has better traits for the NFL. I was surprised by the pick, but then again, John Gruden falls in love with a player, and he's going to take that player. It doesn't matter if Mike Mayock or anyone else is in the building. And then we all know my feelings on the quarterback Daniel Jones going to the Giants, but then you sit there, and Jacksonville, if you go through their needs, edge rusher is pretty low on the list. But when you get a player like Josh Allen that falls to you in that spot at number 7, and when you thought maybe he could go 3 to the Jets, 4 to Oakland, 5 to Tampa, you take advantage of it. And that's what they did. Detroit wasn't scared of taking the tight end, who I think is one of the 6 best players in this class, T.J. Hawkinson, coming out of Iowa, and a guy who's going to, I think, really help Matthew Stafford, even though they've had struggles with the tight end position before. And then Ed Oliver falls, again, another player that I thought Oakland could have easily taken at number 4 and probably should have taken at number 4. And they sit home, they don't try to get cute, and their biggest need was finding a difference maker at the defensive tackle position, and Ed Oliver falls in their lap. So I think those are 3 of my favorite things. And then I also love what Denver did. they didn't want to move out of 10, but they knew they didn't want to take a quarterback in this class. Whether you like Joe Flacco or not, it makes sense to bring in Joe Flacco and then not bring in a quarterback at number 10. It's just going to create a problem. So let's give Flacco a year, see if it works. And in the meantime, let's go get a tight end because he loves the tight end. That's his security blanket. It always was in Baltimore. And so they get a tight end who is a top 15 talent at number 20, plus they get the 52nd overall pick, in addition, and then they get I believe a second round pick next year. So they got a lot of stuff to help them this year, and then also for the future. And if the quarterback doesn't work in Flacco this year, now they've got some more draft capital next year to maybe move up and go get a guy.
If Kyler Murray's not taken by Arizona, how far does he fall?
Great question. I'm going to say Oakland. I'm going to say Oakland at 4, not knowing for sure. I think they really like him, and every bit of information I've gotten is that Derek Carr and John Gruden are not made to last in terms of their marriage. So we'll see if that plays out or not, and sometimes you can overcome it. But at some point I expect Gruden in the next year or two to probably move in a different direction, and it would not have shocked me if Kyler didn't go number 1, if Oakland took him at number 4, because I heard a lot of information about it, him just liking Murray and wanting to kind of become a little bit more progressive offensively.
If Daniel Jones is not selected 6th overall, how far does he fall?
17.
When the Giants are back on the clock?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that. I mean, Miami wasn't taking him. Washington was not taking him. And then, then Giants are at 17. And I don't, maybe I heard the Chargers, but then I was told late last night that the Chargers would not have taken him at 28. Maybe a team like New England, but I have no information on that. But I think it was the Giants or bust in the first round.
Does Josh Rosen get traded tonight?
I would say there's a strong possibility because what are your other options? If he doesn't get traded tonight, then you're either taking a really bad deal on a guy that you traded up for to take at 10 last year.
Would you rather have Josh Rosen or Daniel Jones?
Josh Rosen all day long. Not even close.
And he's half the price, Todd. That's what I don't understand. And I do applaud the Giants. If you know who you want and you get them, then get them.
I agree. And philosophically, I am completely on board with that. Don't wait till 17 or don't try to get cute and trade up because you never know if you can make a deal. So I get that part. But it's the evaluation that I have an issue with.
And that's why I don't give out grades the day after, because I just look at philosophy, the strategy behind what you're doing, what positions you're going after, and the needs that you have. Because a lot of these teams will go, hey, is it talent over need or vice versa? And then you can critique the strategy. I have no idea what Daniel Jones is going to be like in 3 years. I don't know what Dwayne Haskins is going to be like in 3 years. That's the one position where I can't grade you right. I don't even know what Kyler Murray is going to be like. Josh Rosen could turn out to be more productive than him if he goes to the right place. So that's why when you get to these, hey, what's the draft grade that you have for this guy or these teams, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah, I was told by my bosses early on in my ESPN career that I basically had to make a decision between draft grades or putting out a mock draft 3 days after this year's draft. And I said, you know what, I'll take the lesser of two evils because I can't do the grades thing. But my least favorite project and my most clicked on thing on ESPN.com all year long is that way too early mock draft that I'll be putting out on Wednesday or Thursday.
Is it ready? Can you give me a morsel? The number one pick?
No. You're Kuiper. So this is what happens. It starts tonight around pick 90. Kuiper's going to start nudging me, and he's going to be like, so who do you think? Let's go through quarterbacks. Who are the quarterbacks next year? And then all day Saturday, and then we fly home on the plane Sunday, and that's when it gets really weird because he can't sit still, and he's rocking, and he's tapping his leg. And so what do you think? Inside linebackers. Like, no, can we finish this year first, bud?
Did Justin Herbert make a mistake not coming out?
No, I don't think so. And forget where he would have been drafted, even if he was a top 10 pick. And I know it sounds crazy because that's $20 to $30 million guaranteed money. And yes, you can get injured, and there are factors there. But he was not ready. And you can see it in his play this past year. I think he just needs another year. And where you make your real money, comparatively speaking within NFL money, is if you get that second contract. And if you're not ready, you've seen how many guys just get chewed up and spit out of this league in 4 or 5 years. And I think that he would have been much more vulnerable to that had he come out this year rather than going back for another year and just maturing.
Your favorite Mel Kiper eating story is what?
It used to be pumpkin pie, but that's stale. I would go. My new favorite is we go back to the hotel every night, and I ask him the same question just because I want a laugh after a long day. He will get the cheese pizza and take the cheese off from room service. So it's now just basic. It's the crust and the tomato sauce, and dip it in mashed potatoes. He's carb loading. It's a long weekend. I don't know. I mean, what do you do with that, right?
Oh man, he's fascinating.
He is one of a kind.
Like that's where ESPN was created for certain people. And Mel Kiper is one of those guys. Howie Schwab, like what else would they do? They had that vehicle, Howie should still be there, but without ESPN, What would Mel Kiper be doing? He'd be like a hairdresser.
I can't wait to tell him that today.
Thank you, Todd.
Good. Thanks, bud. Have a good one.
Have fun tonight. Todd McShay, ESPN NFL draft analyst.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.